My name is Lena Marlowe. I'm 23 years old, the second daughter of the Marlowe family, an American family that claims to be traditional, but operates more like a kingdom controlled by one person. That person is my older brother, Ethan Marlowe, who's 31 and married to a woman who disliked me from the moment she learned my name. Tessa Marlowe, the self-appointed empress of the Marlowe household, a woman convinced that because she married my brother, she automatically owns the house, the rules, and even the atmosphere inside it. I usually stayed far away from both of them, until the day they decided my quietness was somehow an insult. And Ethan crossed a line he could never uncross. It happened on a Sunday morning, early enough that the sun hadn't fully reached across the kitchen counter. I walked in wearing an oversized sweater, hair in a messy knot, planning to grab a quick bowl of cereal before locking myself back in my room. Tessa was already standing in front of the fridge, arms folded, wearing the face of someone who smelled something awful. "Morning," I said as I grabbed a bowl. She said nothing, only stared. I ignored her. Experience had taught me that pretending she didn't exist was usually my safest option. But that morning she wanted a fight, you know, she said, tapping her nails against the fridge door. A decent person would say good morning properly. I exhaled slowly. I did say morning. No, she snapped, stepping closer. You mumbled something that wasn't respectful. There's a difference, I muttered. That was all it took. Her eyes widened, her face twisted, and she screeched, "Ethan." I closed my eyes. Of course, my brother entered within seconds, footsteps heavy against the tile. Ethan was tall, built like he lived at the gym, and he wielded his height like a weapon, especially when it came to me. "What's going on?" he barked. Tessa pointed at me like I was a child caught stealing candy. She disrespected me again. Lena refuses to greet me like an adult. She's rude every morning. I laughed because it was so absurd. I literally said good morning. Ethan's jaw tightened. Is that the attitude you think is acceptable? Here we go again. "Ethan," I said evenly, "I didn't do anything." But Tessa began fake. Crying, forced sniffles, trembling hands, the whole performance. Ethan fell for it like always. "She's so ungrateful," Tessa whimpered. "I'm trying to be kind to her and she treats me like nothing." My patience snapped. "Kind," I scoffed. "You insult me every chance you get." Ethan lost it. "You'll apologize to my wife right now," he shouted. "And if you don't," he stepped forward, "you'll be punished." Punished, as if I was 12. "I'm 23, I said quietly. "I don't care," he yelled. "As long as you live under this roof, you follow my rules. You'll stay in your room until you apologize." Humiliation burned through me. Not fear, humiliation. "For how long?" I asked. "Until Tessa forgives you," he snapped. "And she won't until you show real remorse." Behind him, Tessa smirked the kind of victorious, cruel smile that flips a switch inside a person. "Well?" Ethan demanded. "Apologize." I lifted my chin. "No." His face went scarlet. "What did you say?" I said no, Ethan. I repeated, my voice steady though my heart hammered. "I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do. You don't own me." He stepped so close he practically cast a shadow over me. "You live here for free. We feed you. We support you." "Mom and Dad support me." I shot back. "You don't do anything for me." Tessa gasped theatrically. "Wow, now she's attacking you." Ethan slammed his palm against the counter so hard I flinched. "You will apologize," he roared, "or you'll stay locked in your room. No phone, no car, no freedom, period. And then, the part that broke something inside me, until you learn your place, my place, something inside me turned cold, sharp, final. This ends today. I'm going to my room," I said softly. Ethan smirked. Tessa folded her arms like a villain, satisfied with her plan. "Good," Ethan said. "Think about what you did." I walked upstairs, closed my door, sat on my bed. and didn't cry. Not this time. No fear, no sadness, only a strange calm, the kind of calm that comes right before a life-changing decision. I looked around the room that had been part prison, part refuge, then I opened my laptop. Ethan thought he held power over me. But I had something he didn't know about, the truth and a plan. Before everything fell apart last year, I had secretly been accepted into an online digital entrepreneurship mentorship. I didn't tell my family because they'd only criticize it, but I had been learning quietly, practicing quietly, and earning quietly. For the past 7 months, I'd been making real money, remote work, freelance projects, commissions. Money Ethan had no clue existed. Money I saved, money that meant escape. I opened my banking app. My savings glowed on the screen enough to move out, enough to start over in Denver, Colorado, where my mentor's office was located. And at that moment, being grounded didn't matter anymore because I wasn't planning on staying, not in this house. Not under Ethan's rules, not with Tessa's voice tainting every room like air freshener gone bad. I had no intention of apologizing. I intended to leave. I wasn't the kind of person who simply slipped out quietly. No. They pushed me into a battlefield. And if they wanted power games, humiliation games, control games, then they were about to learn something very important about me. I don't lose. I leaned back in my chair, cracked my knuckles, and opened a new document. A plan formed in my mind, sharp, cold, beautifully constructed. A revenge they would never recover from. A hit so precise they wouldn't even feel it until their world collapsed. Because revenge isn't always explosive. Sometimes it's quiet, strategic, calculated, and Ethan, he had a weakness. One secret. One truth Tessa had no idea existed. One thing that could destroy everything they built. And I had proof. I stared at the folder on my desktop titled Marlowe Records. I smiled. Today they tried to ground me. Tomorrow I would ground their entire world. The folder glowed on my screen like the fuse of a bomb. Inside were things Ethan assumed no one would ever uncover. Things he thought he'd buried. Things Tessa was completely blind to. Because when you grow up with a controlling brother, you learn to observe, silently, carefully, secretly, and sometimes you find things no one expected you to find. I opened the folder, invoices, emails, screenshots, all connected to the same ugly truth. Ethan had been siphoning money, thousands from our parents' small business account for over a year. He used it for his elite private training sessions, payments on his new SUV, Tessa's luxury accessories, weekend hotel stays they both claimed were leadership conferences. He always said Dad approved the expenses. Dad didn't. I knew because a few months back he'd asked me, "Lena, have you noticed anything strange with the company balance?" That's when I started digging. Ethan never protected his passwords from me. He didn't believe I had the brains to figure anything out. In his mind, I was always the quiet one, the emotional one. His fatal mistake, I clicked on a specific file. Hotel February, a 2-night stay. But the listed guest wasn't Tessa. It was a woman named Rachel Vaughn. So Ethan wasn't only draining the family business, he was cheating on his self-proclaimed queen. Suddenly his threat, "You'll apologize to my wife," became a comedy sketch. Because apologizing was never in my plans. Exposing everything was. The calm before the final hit. I spent the entire night packing quietly. Not everything, just the essentials. Clothes, laptop, external drive documents, and printed copies of every piece of evidence. Sealed and protected by sunrise, I was ready. I hadn't slept, yet I felt more awake than I had in months. Around 7:00 a.m., I heard heavy footsteps pounding toward my bedroom door. Ethan, he didn't knock. He shoved the door open like he owned the world. "You're still grounded," Ethan declared. And you're not getting your phone today. He snatched it straight from my nightstand. I didn't argue. Let him believe he'd won. Victory tastes better when your opponent thinks they've already beaten you. You'll apologize to Tessa by tonight, he demanded, or this grounding continues. I looked up at him calmly. Sure, I said, tonight. He smirked, proud of himself, and walked out thinking he'd broken me. He had no idea he had awakened something far more dangerous. 3:00 p.m. The confrontation. I waited until both of them were in the living room. Ethan watching TV, Tessa scrolling through her phone like she was auditioning for a crown on TikTok. I walked down the stairs slowly. Ethan groaned. What now? I'm here to apologize, I said softly. Tessa smirked, smug enough to choke. I knew she'd fold, she whispered, leaning against Ethan like he was her personal throne. Ethan crossed his arms. Good. Let's hear it. I stepped forward and placed a sealed envelope on the coffee table. Ethan frowned. What's this? Something you both should see before I apologize. He ripped it open. The very first page was the hotel receipt, the one with Rachel Vaughn's name on it. Tessa's expression twitched. Ethan went still. Where did you get this? He whispered. Oh, I said casually, there's more. I sat on the opposite couch like I owned the room. Check the rest. He flipped through everything. Screenshots of his texts with Rachel, bank transfers from the family business, receipts for gym sessions, invoices labeled as company expenses, photos of him with Rachel. Tessa's breathing shifted, first confusion, then realization, then pure rage. You liar, she hissed. Ethan looked at me, panic spreading across his face. Lena, listen. No. I cut him off. You listen. I leaned forward, voice sharp and unshakable. You tried to ground me, control me, humiliate me. All while you were stealing from our parents' business and cheating on your wife. Tessa shot to her feet so fast the cushions slid off the couch. Ethan, what is this? It's not what it looks like. It looks, she snapped, like you're a cheating, lying mess. Ethan's voice trembled. Lena, please. I raised an eyebrow. Interesting word. Where was please when you were threatening me? When you told me to stay in my room, when you ordered me to bow down to Tessa? He swallowed hard. Tessa grabbed the papers like she was picking up ammunition. For the first time ever, she looked directly at me. And she wasn't smirking. Lena, she said quietly, I owe you an apology. I didn't respond. She wasn't the target here. Ethan was. She turned on him like a storm. You thought you could cheat on me. After everything I sacrificed for you, you used me. Ethan reached for her hand. She jerked away. Don't touch me, she snapped. You make me sick. Then she turned to me. Where's the original file? In a safe place, I said, cold and controlled. With backups, she nodded, and then gave me a real smile, not mocking, not cruel, genuine. I support whatever you're about to do. Ethan stared at her, horrified. Tessa, she walked toward the door. I'm leaving, and everything you bought me with stolen money, I'm taking it. It belongs to your parents anyway. She slammed the door behind her. Ethan collapsed onto the couch. What are you doing? He whispered, finishing this. I said. I walked into the kitchen, grabbed my backpack. My escape plan already packed. Lena, he pleaded, following me. Where are you going? Out. For how long? Forever. He shot up so quickly the table rattled. You can't leave. I turned to him slowly. You don't own me, Ethan, and after today, you don't own much of anything at all. He wasn't angry anymore. He was terrified. What are you planning to do? I held up the small USB drive containing everything. Nothing, if you let me walk out peacefully. He froze. But if you try to stop me, threaten me, or try to punish me again. I stepped closer, nearly nose to nose. I'll send this to Mom, Dad, the company board, and Tessa's attorney. He inhaled sharply, chest sinking. You wouldn't, I would. I zipped my backpack and I will, please, he whispered, tears filling his eyes. For a second, I saw the boy who used to stand up for me when we were kids, but choices weigh more than memories. Ethan, I said softly, I didn't destroy your life, you did. Then I walked out. He didn't chase me. I got into an Uber with my backpack, my laptop, and my freedom. The sun felt different outside, lighter, warmer, brighter. I checked into the small apartment rental I had booked the night before. The first thing I did, bought a new phone and logged into everything. Second, emailed myself the evidence marked for emergency use only. Third, sat on the bed and took the deepest breath of my life. For the first time in years, I felt safe, free, powerful. 3 weeks passed. Eventually, my parents learned everything. Tessa told them herself, furious and heartbroken. They called me asking why I hadn't said anything sooner. I explained everything calmly. They didn't blame me. They blamed Ethan. He lost his position at the company, access to business accounts, Tessa, who filed for divorce, and his image as the responsible son. But I didn't send the evidence beyond the family. I didn't need to. Ethan apologized, a real apology. Not forced, not angry. He told me I was right to leave, that I deserved better, that he never realized how cruel he had become. I accepted the apology, but I didn't go back. I built my life, my business, my peace, and the girl he tried to silence became the woman he could never control again.